welcome back to what has become a very parched garden. The grass has stopped growing and is now golden and crisp. The seed heads of the wild orchids in the meadow have dried earlier than previous summers. Soon we'll cut the tall grass and scatter their seed. The hens have scratched away all their grass and are now left with bare, dusty earth. When the rain returns, we'll sow grass seed, but until then, they feast on bolted lettuces from the vegetable garden. The heat-loving tomatoes, peppers and aubergine have all been doing well this summer, but the peas and French beans have not fared as well. The flowers in the cutting garden reflect the summer temperatures, with fiery colours from plants like Crocosmia and Rudbeckia. Butterflies and bees have been enjoying an abundance of dry, open flowers. The flowers, however, are forming seed heads much quicker than usual, and I have to deadhead more often to keep the flowers blooming for as long as possible. But we are taking advantage of the dry ground to finish clearing up after last winter's devastating storm. So I'm just waiting for the JCB digger to arrive. We are having some major works done in this area up here of the garden. So back in January, Storm Goretti hit this part of the garden with over 100-mile-an-hour winds, and we lost some huge trees. So some of these huge, great big cypress trees came down. We lost 9 trees in this area. We also lost a huge ash tree, and we had to cut our way into this area. It was completely impenetrable. So the plan with the digger today is this patch of logs that we've got here. We're going to dig a trench around this earth bank, and we're going to stand the logs upright, and that's going to kind of create a bit of a log wall. We've also got some of these huge tree roots. So these are kind of a good couple of meters in size. These piles of logs that we've got, these are ash logs that were felled in September last year. We were midway through splitting all of them, and then all of the trees fell over in the storm, and we just haven't kind of had the space all the time, or even the inclination to carry on splitting them. Ash is really tough, so we may end up having to get a hydraulic splitter to carry on cutting them, because if ash, once it's kind of seasoned, turns almost like concrete. So there's a fair bit of work in this area, but the plan is to, once all this is cleared, is to plant some trees in here that kind of would fit with a Scandinavian cabin, because we've got our lovely Scandinavian cabin in behind me. So I'm going to plant some birch trees and some Christmas trees in this area, just sporadically, so it feels quite natural. So we finished about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I'm amazed how quick it was all done actually. So let me show you what it kind of looks like now. So obviously it needs some grass seed and replanting and things and a bit of tidying up. But we put in this log wall that's sort of retaining the bank, which we're going to plant up with things like foxgloves and probably sow some other kind of wildflower seed and things. And then we created a bit of a gateway here near the cabin where lots of the logs can be stacked up against these gate posts, and that's going to kind of create a nice sort of entranceway. So it's going to feel almost sort of quite like a homestead area really up here, which will feel quite nice and like rustic. And then where I'm standing, this was all tree roots. You can't even tell, it's just completely levelled. All the big craters that were under the roots have all been filled in. It's amazing really. It's sort of no evidence that there were ever trees here. So to think that 6 months ago this was absolute carnage and now it's completely clear, I feel quite positive, because we were obviously really upset when we lost all of the trees, but now it feels like we can kind of regenerate the area and put our own stamp on it, because we've never been able to do that before. It was so dominated by these enormous cypress trees, which these ones will have to be dealt with at some point, but yeah, for now we're just enjoying the fact that we actually now have this nice kind of space up here, which is really exciting. So I've been waiting for a slightly overcast day and it kind of hasn't happened. We've got a bit more cloud cover today, not a great deal, but a bit. And I'm going to tackle my polytunnel. I'm quite embarrassed to show you what it looks like. It's really wild. Let's go and take a look. Okay, so here we are. And I apologise now if the sound quality is not great. My microphone's not working. So this is the tunnel, and for the past 6 weeks I've been really, really busy. So I haven't had a chance to do anything in here. It's also been so hot. I've really not been motivated to come in here and do anything other than just watering it. There are plants growing in here, which I can barely see because there's so many weeds covering everything. The bindweed has gone really crazy and I need to tackle that. Lots of things that are self-seeding everywhere, which is great, but I also want to limit the amount of self-seeding. So there's loads of cornflowers and lavatera and calendula in here, and if I let them self-seed, we're just going to have so many popping up next spring that they're going to become a bit of an issue. I also need to make a little bit of room because I need to have a place for my hardy annuals to go into. I'm going to do some direct sowing of some hardy annuals in the not too distant future, not for a bit, but I just want to make a start really on clearing some of these beds, giving them a chance to have a bit of a rest before I then start doing some drill sowing of my hardy annuals, which will give me a spring crop next year. So I thought I would share the chaos that is the polytunnel and the reality of what happens when you get really busy in the garden, and I'm going to make a start on clearing it. I'm just saving some of this Amimagus because I'm going to use the seed. So I'm going to set this down in the polytunnel and let it finish off drying out and collect up the seed. And then I'm going to use this for drilling seed into these beds in around 6 weeks time. Start of September I'll sow these into some drills. Well, it's starting to get quite hot in here now, so I think I'm going to stop that. I've removed all of the plants that needed to come out, and I've taken the worst of the weeds out, and now I need to go through it with a hoe, and I'm going to go through the bed that had all of the bindweed really carefully and sift through it and see if I can remove quite a lot of the root now that the bed is empty. But I'm going to wait until it's perhaps the evening to come back through and work in here doing that when it's a little bit cooler. But I kind of feel this is a major job sort of done, which I'm really pleased with because it's been on my bugbear list for quite a while. I'm just continuing my deadheading. We had the tiniest amount of rain a couple of days ago and it really hasn't made much difference. I'm quite concerned about all of the wildlife within the garden because it's been so dry for so long. Not only the plants really parched, but also all of the small mammals and the insects are also dehydrated. We try and help them as best we can by scattering water throughout the garden, and we have old water troughs as well, which are filled with water that the animals can go and drink from and the birds can go and drink from. But it's still a challenge for them. The flowers, I think, are probably going to finish much earlier this year. It's been a case of everything coming into bloom really quickly and then going to seed even quicker. I deadhead as often as possible, but it's not always enough. So I do think that a lot of the flowers are going to run out of energy quite quickly this year, and we'll probably see them finishing slightly earlier than they normally would. One of the things that is loving this hot weather is the Rudbeckia. I think I've not had it this tall outside ever. Normally when it gets to be this kind of height, it's normally growing in the polytunnel. So the Rudbeckia has been a really resilient plant to this intense, dry, hot weather that we've had. Other things are also doing well. So Echinops and Achillea is doing well. All of those drought tolerant plants, which I would expect to be doing well, have really responded. But like I say, I think a lot of things will be finishing earlier than normal, and I'm already starting to do jobs now that I would normally be doing in late September because the things have finished up so much quicker. So the garden's going to be changing quite a bit over the next few weeks, but I will of course record what I'm getting up to and I will share that with you soon. Until then, bye.